people who built what we have today. And I want to answer the question by talking about two people that many of you in this room, I imagine, will not know, but I hope at the end of this you'll know a little bit more. The first is a man called Ernest Bevin. He left school at the age of 10. He grew up in the countryside of Somerset in the United Kingdom with nothing. No money, no connections, no education. He built the Transport and General Workers Union into the most powerful labour union in British history. And he became Winston Churchill's Minister of Labour during the Second World War, putting the entire British economy on a war footing. And after the war, as Foreign Secretary, he helped design the world order, the international world order. He was one of the architects of NATO, and yet he had no formal education. And the second man is Clement Attlee. He led Britain's Labour government after 1945 in the Second World War. The country was exhausted, bombed and bankrupt, and every conventional political instinct said, recover slowly, manage decline, ask for sacrifice. But Attlee's government looked at the situation and chose a different path entirely. In 5 years, they created the National Health Service. They built over 1 million homes. They established a welfare state. And they did this not because it was popular or affordable in the narrow sense. They did it because they believed the purpose of government is to organise the resources of a nation in the service of its people. Bevin and Attlee were not optimists in the comfortable sense. They'd lived through world wars, the Great Depression, the hunger marches, grinding poverty, and early industrial Britain. They knew what it cost when societies failed working people, and they chose deliberately and at great political risk to build something that would outlast themselves. And I tell you that because I believe we are in that moment again. Artificial intelligence and the rapid onset of technology is not just another change. It is a revolution. It's the most profound transformation of the conditions of human work since the Industrial Revolution. The OECD estimates that 27% of jobs in wealthy nations are at risk of automation. The IMF puts 40% of jobs in play worldwide. The World Economic Forum projects a net global loss of 14 million jobs by 2027. These numbers are already arriving in specific, visible ways. Just outside of my constituency of Liverpool, a factory employed 400 workers 2 years ago. Today it employs 60. An AI scheduling system replaced the rest. Some of those 340 people are my constituents, and I know what happened to their families. But it's not only blue-collar workers. The junior lawyer who spent 3 years reading case files is being replaced by AI research. The accountancy graduate, the university leaver who studied to enter a profession is finding that the entry-level rung has been automated away before they could even stand on it. And there is another version of this story, the positive version, because a surgeon can use AI diagnostic tools to make her 10 times more effective. She can see twice as many patients, catch conditions she would have previously missed. The same technology, but a different outcome. The trade union movement that my father belonged to and that I belonged to believed in 3 principles: educate, organise, agitate. And I'm going to finish by touching on these 3 points as I think they apply today. In education, we're making a mistake in most of our school systems when we're not teaching the next generation how to use the tools that will define their working lives. AI literacy, not computer science for the elite, but practical, accessible training in how to work alongside AI is the single most important skill for the new economy. And it's not being taught at scale in the schools that serve working class communities. Before we talk about anything else, every government in this room should ask one question: does your Ministry of Education have a plan? And if the answer is no, it's time to find one. But education reform means something more specific than AI training. Britain spent 30 years telling every young person they should go to university. We built an economy of graduates while our manufacturing base was hollowed out. Our skilled trades went unstaffed. Our infrastructure crumbled for want of engineers. The electrician, the plumber, the machinist, the toolmaker, these were not the consolation prizes for those who failed to make it to university. They were the people who kept the country running. And here is what AI tells us about them today. A skilled tradesperson with AI tools becomes dramatically more productive. A trained engineer with AI design assistants can do in a day what they used to do in a week. These are the jobs that cannot be offshored, cannot be fully automated, and become more valuable as the AI transformation happens around them. It's not simply more education, but it's the right education for the economy we need to build. And secondly, organize. The data that powers AI was generated by ordinary citizens like every one of us. Every search, every purchase, every hospital visit, every financial transaction. That data today has huge commercial value, and it's currently captured almost entirely by a small number of technology companies. So we need a framework, data trusts, public data funds, mandatory royalty arrangements that ensure that the people who generate economic resource receive a share of its value. India has already shown what organized public digital infrastructure looks like. UPI, the payment system that now processes more transactions per day than Visa, was built on public infrastructure, owned by the Indian people, designed for inclusion rather than extraction. That is the model. That is what it means to organize around the AI economy, rather than simply be subject to it. And finally, agitate. No matter how much the economy changes, there must be a floor below which no worker falls, not just in income, but in security, in dignity, and the sense of being valued. That means stronger employment rights, not weaker ones. It means portable benefits that follow workers across jobs and platforms. And it means unions that can represent gig workers and platform workers, as well as employees. And it means governments that are willing to say plainly that the productivity gains from AI must be shared, not accumulated at the top, while the people who generated the underlying data receive nothing in return. So agitation, in the trade union sense, means refusing to accept that this is all inevitable. And I believe the way we respond to AI will determine whether our generation passes the test that our previous leaders met. In 1945, Attlee's government was asked, what do we owe to the people who won this war, who built this country, who gave everything? And the answer was the NHS, 1 million homes, a welfare state, a commitment that no one who works and contributes should be abandoned. It wasn't a modest answer. It was not a convenient answer, but it was the right one. And the AI economy is asking us the same question about the generations of today. What do we owe to the warehouse worker whose job has been automated, to the accountancy graduate who cannot find her entry-level role, to the young engineer in Bangalore, Lagos, or Liverpool who is brilliant and willing but cannot find work because the system has changed faster than the institutions that were supposed to protect them? Bevan and Attlee answered their version of this question with everything that they had. The question for every person in this room is, can we answer our question today? Because AI will not decide the future of work, politics will. The question is whether the politics of today is quite up to that moment. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate your attention. Thank you.
Thanks indeed, Right Honourable Member of Parliament, of course, of the United Kingdom there, Dan Carden, who was speaking with us, of course, and was looking forward at the future of the blue-collar economy. We'll also be hearing from him in another special panel in just a bit. Okay, well, let's turn our attention back to our special segment, Next in Law, because we are now extremely humbled to be joined by a very special individual, a sitting judge, of course, of the Supreme Court of India, Honorable Justice J.K. Maheshwari. He is with us at NXT now, and I invite you on stage, sir, for your keynote address as part of our Next in Law segment on dispute resolution and the future of law. A round of applause for Justice Maheshwari.